the Ohio State of Mind podcast, hosted by Josh Keeley and Chris Runyon.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Buckeye fans of all ages, it is the Ohio State of Mind podcast. It is Monday, December 1st. As always, I am Chris. To my right, my head of a life mate, Josh. Josh, we've got a very special guest on this week. Why don't you go ahead and give him an introduction?
Yeah, man, we got Ryan Moneyline McIntyre in the building. Dude, I've been listening to the College Experience podcast that you've been co-hosting with Colby on the football side of it. I don't listen to basketball, don't do basketball, but I hear you do wonderful things there. You hear you do wonderful things over there. But your football side, man, it's awesome. You and Colby are two of the most honest dudes that I listen to. I've been listening to Colby for years and years and years. I'm glad he's got you in the fold. But yeah, man, you do great stuff. I love your work. You know, I don't know what your winning percentage is. I don't keep track of all your picks, but I don't. It doesn't. That part really doesn't matter to me. It's more the knowledge that you and Colby share, right? You know, I write down my picks, and then sometimes I revise or maybe remove things because of what you guys are saying, or maybe aspects of the game that I didn't think of. But we're glad to have you in the building, man. And we're like I said, we're excited to talk Ohio State football with you, brother.
I appreciate it, Josh and Chris, for having me on. Congrats on your win. I elected to select the time slot after the result went final on Saturday. I said, these guys will be in a good mood. If it had gone the other way for a fifth straight year, I was like, I'm not jumping on that show. So I knew you guys would be in a good mood, and this would be an easy show. But I appreciate you having me, and congrats on the big win. And now you get the Hoosiers, the Battle of Unbeaten.
Yes. Now, I do want to mention, before we move any further, though, because I don't want this to go unnoticed, you, CJ, and Colby did all pick Michigan.
Yes,
and I believe, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Maybe it was Colby, but someone said, sprinkle it on the money line. So I just want to be very clear that we know where you were before Saturday, what your stance was. But honestly, that's fair. I didn't bet on the game because my butthole was so tight leading up to it. So I can't blame you too much.
Well, and I think my exact quote was, the Buckeyes got to prove it to me. Ryan Day's got to prove it to me, and I was proven wrong, and all three of us were. Ohio State was significantly the better team. Give Michigan credit and that crowd credit. I mean, they came out guns blazing. They came out swinging, hit a couple big runs on that first drive, and then picked off Julian Sayin and I think a little bit of nerves there. But after those first 5-6 minutes, and when Michigan stalled out for 2 field goals rather than getting a touchdown and maybe putting some real game pressure on them if they had gone up 10, the Buckeyes were significantly the better team. I know people could say that maybe Jeremiah dropped the ball in the end zone. It should have been a touchdown. That didn't matter. I mean, they could have they would have won by 10 instead of 17 or 18, whatever they ended up winning by.
Yeah, because they entered the half. Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you got the stat written down. With Michigan entered the half with 108 rushing yards.
108.
They ended the game with just 100.
Exactly, right? 100.
So
yes.
It was pretty fucking lights
100.
out, dude. So, I don't think the fumbling and stumbling of the ball really mattered. But that argument got annoying online. But Chris, go on. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Again, so obviously we've been alive for the Urban Meyer era. We've seen Ohio State, impose their will on Michigan, but this game seemed a little bit different. It seemed like, hey, last 4 years we've seen Buckeye teams come out that we think that are more versatile on the offensive side of the ball in a sense, and just stumble and fumble and drop big ass games. But this year it seemed like it was a proving point. All season long, I think Josh and I we went back and forth and like, well, where's this run game? When is this offensive line going to go ahead and show us something? When is this offensive line going to come out and body bag some guys? And we saw an offensive line dominate this game for 4 quarters, and that was the big surprise for me. What about yourself?
Yeah, man. We talked about we bitched about Tegra Shabola all year long, right? Tegra Shabola was kind of rotating in and out with Gabe Van Sinkle, and it was kind of got to the point too where like maybe Tegra Shabola should move on. Tegra Shabola, we did the scouting reports when he came out of Trotwood, and he's the exact same size as Corey Stringer basically. So everybody's dicks immediately got hard, but he doesn't play like Corey Stringer at all. But this past Saturday, he was a bully. He was a fucking bully. Now they pulled him a couple times, and every time they pulled him, it went fucking horrible. So maybe they're not going to do that anymore. But yeah, the offensive line looked a lot better. I don't really know what the difference in the game was. We talked about it briefly before the podcast started, I think that Ryan Day was just more loose. I think maybe the national championship run gave him some more confidence. Because before the playoff run, it wasn't just Michigan. It was every time they played someone that, I mean, it's Ohio State, right? This is a conversation we continuously have. Is Ryan Day a good coach, or is he just Larry Coker, right? Because every time they play anybody with the same fucking quality of talent, they would fucking lose. But I think that playoff run really gave him some confidence, and we saw it play out this entire year leading up to it. And then we saw them kind of do their fucking thing against Michigan. So I think that was probably the big difference, is that Ryan Day just came out with the big boy balls and didn't let nothing shake him. That and Julian, I think that the youth of the roster, we thought it was going to be a concern, but I think it played dividends this week because you didn't see guys, as someone who played college ball on a team that won 2 games in 2 years, there becomes a point in every game where you're like, fuck, it's happening. I saw that, there weren't a lot of guys on the roster anymore. So, Julian Sain throws a pick, and instead of bitching about it, he moves on. Instead, when the Michigan offense goes right down the fucking field, instead of guys staring at each other like, fuck, here we go again, they were like, all right, well, we'll go back out there. So I think that was the difference.
No, I definitely agree.
Yeah, it just like you said, Chris and Josh, it just felt like they imposed their will. After those first 2 drives, Bo Jackson had a good day on the ground. What did he go for? 5.5 yards a carry.
Mm-hmm.
I know Julian saying gets all the bells and whistles because he plays the quarterback position, and he played really well with a couple of deep balls. But I really thought the game changed when they started wearing down and leaning on Michigan in the trenches. So that's what they tried to do last year, and they for whatever reason couldn't move the ball on Michigan in that game up there in Columbus, or I guess down there for Michigan fans in Columbus. But this year was a different animal. Completely controlled the line of scrimmage, offense and defense. And Donaldson also added some bigger runs as well. So it was a good day for you guys. I know that.
Yeah, it's almost like the game was different without the 2 first-round defensive tackles.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like the plan of running the ball right up the fucking middle was a little bit more a deal this year than last year. So
a little bit. Now, I think the biggest thing we talk about, Ryan Day getting a monkey off his back or making a statement, what have you. I think the statement that was made, that was subtly made, the Buckeyes didn't put the ball back in the air at the last pass was at the 14-minute mark of the fourth quarter. That ball didn't go in the air again. It stayed on the ground. And it was hey, this game is well in hand. Mind you, it was only 24-9 at the time. But I'm not going to dismiss at all what Ryan said. Jordan Marshall came out there, and he had 2 nice runs, ripped off 2 20-yard runs. If you go back and watch that film, after that first one, you started seeing that shoulder hang, and then you started seeing that shoulder hang a little bit more. And then I think in that second drive is when he came out. Dominic Zavada as well. He was Mr. Automatic last year. I didn't pay enough attention to his ebbs and flows this year. I didn't realize he was 12 of 19 kicking field goals this year, but he was automatic. Let's be real. That he lined up for that 49-yarder right down the pipe, and it was absolute beauty. But the Buckeyes, the defense, obviously, I'm going to say the defense played pretty damn good. You expected him to play pretty damn good. You heard Caden Curry at the press conference in the post game saying, "Hey, we just had to make him play quarterback," and that didn't end well. He only had 16 yards going into the third quarter in the air. So, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see the development of Bryce Underwood if he decides to stay at Michigan. He's got 12.5 million reasons to stay. But
can I just interject?
Please.
That I love that now that Lane Kiffin is at LSU, the rumor is Bryce Underwood's going to leave after one fucking year. I don't think it's happy because that'd be super shitty, but I love that that's what I'm getting on my feed from Michigan fans already. It's like, dude, this is a rough fucking week for you guys, dude. Like,
David, what's up?
Hey, yeah, big shout out, David. It's really cool too. in today's day and age of college football, and I know that Ryan, you and Colby bitch about this a lot because the Big Ten are big culprits of this, right? Because big money. But you lose some of that flavor with these rivalries, and it's cool that we got to see guys like Bo Jackson, a Cleveland kid, Arvell Reese, a Cleveland kid, Lorenzo Styles Jr., Sonny Styles Jr., dad, kids, dudes that their dad played at Ohio State, really shine in a game like this. You know what I mean? Like, I know Julian Sain gets all the credit and all that, but he's a California kid, right? It's not, and that's great. That's fine that happens. And that happened back in the day too. But it is cool to see a guy like Bo Jackson emerge because he's a Cleveland kid. It's cool when these local dudes do something on such a fucking important game. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that that's not missing in 2025 because it's fucking close. It's almost gone.
Well, and if you're from Ohio, I mean, you know what the Michigan game means, and you know what this one going into this game meant, and that's why when I heard people saying they should, because they were banged up at the receiver position going in the game, they're like they should rest those guys for the playoffs. Like, do you not understand what this rivalry is? Like, they'd rather beat Michigan than win the Natty. I think this year. So I mean, obviously you want both, and you want the Big Ten Conference Championship on Saturday, but you're not resting guys in the Michigan game. This is as much as they've tried to take away the tradition, the rivalries. You flip on a TV. I mean, for us, I'm a West Virginia guy. Obviously, people that watch, what game was the most memorable game of West Virginia this year? It was the Pitt game. It was the backyard brawl. And then you just turn on the other games, the Holy War, Utah and BYU. You can just feel the hatred coming through the TV set. The Egg Bowl on Friday. I know we had the Lane Kiffin dynamic with that as well, but those you could just feel the hate in Michigan, Ohio State, and that's what it's all about, man. I know people like Ohio State, Oregon, and USC, Michigan, and yeah, those are bigger brands, but sign me up for those regionality rivalries. That's still the core of college football, and that's what draws. And hopefully one day we'll get back to that, and these TV execs can get the hell out of the way and let us have our sport back to where it was, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back on the offseason too, because I believe I know you guys hate the Big Ten and the way they're scheduled. I actually like it. I think that the Pac-12 was on their way out anyways. Like, I kind of saw it as more like, okay, we're saving these teams so they don't go by the way of. Or I was sad that we didn't bring in Oregon State and Washington State, to be honest with you, and just make like a division out there. But it is what it is. But yeah, we'll have to reconvene in the offseason and talk about. That's what we did with Colby this past year, was try to fix college football. But yeah, you said you're a West Virginia guy. I got a chance to talk to CJ Donaldson this offseason, and he told me that we talked about jersey combinations. See, that's one thing he was going to miss at West Virginia. They're sick jerseys. I guess he talked about the All Blacks. Those were his favorite. So
yeah, I'm kind of torn on those just because I'm more the tradition.
That's what I told him.
I like the blue and gold, but I mean the Coal Rush is a nice little flavor and a nice little switch up, so it honors the state. But yeah, Donaldson, he was a good Mountaineer. He had some injuries last year. Yeah. His freshman year, he was awesome, and then like I said, he had some injuries. But I mean, I see he's having a solid year, nice contributor here in the backfield at Ohio State, so he's got a chance to win a ring now.
Yep.
Certainly does. Ryan brought up a good point about the rivalries. Us being old school college football hate, rivalries. When have we started cleaning all this stuff up? We've got Oklahoma and Texas. It used to be the Red River Shootout. Now it's just the Red River Rivalry. And then I noticed over this weekend, Georgia Tech used to be good old fashioned hate, but now it's clean old fashioned hate. And they made a point to say that every chance they went to a commercial, it was clean old fashioned hate.
They did that with another one too.
Civil War.
That's right.
There it is.
Oregon State. Yeah. And by the way, foul in the play by Georgia Tech and Georgia playing in the Georgia Dome.
Yeah,
that was the least entertained I've ever. It was actually a pretty good football game, but I was so not entertained compared to what I was last year when they were played in Athens. If they had played the thing at Bobby Dodd, I think Georgia Tech might have won the game outright and knocked off Georgia. But you play in that Georgia Dome, it feels like you're watching an NFL corporate game, and that's just and I like the NFL is what it is. They've gone their direction. They're chasing the dollar, and that's fine. And if you want to watch the NFL and you're a big NFL guy, so be it. Like, that's your thing. but don't try and turn college football into the NFL. I like having them separate, just like I like having college basketball and the NBA be different. Like if I want to watch the NBA and NFL, I'll tune in on Sunday at 1:00. I know when the games are. I mean, they've been at the same time and same day of the week for what 50, 60 years. You don't need to infringe that on the college game, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you, especially, I've kind of made peace with the fact of some of these non-consequential, of course, I call them non-consequential, but these like out-of-conference games being in neutral sites, I don't like it, but I made peace with it. But when you make like a key rivalry or, an important game, it feels dirty, it feels gross, because that's part of it. I couldn't imagine Ohio State, Michigan being played in like Lucas Oil or something. That would just blow my mind. But, that might be where we're heading. So,
yeah. Yeah, don't even put that thought in any of our minds. I mean, can you imagine them playing that like Ford Field? It makes me want to puke thinking about it.
Oof. David chimes in. Been hearing that Brian Hartline may go to Kentucky as the head coach. How true is that? I've heard inklings. Yourself, Josh?
So rumors are Will Stein is the Oregon offensive coordinator. This is actually a good topic. We talk about the coaching carousel in the Big Ten. Will Stein supposedly is going to be taking that gig. I don't know how official that is. This is just stuff I've seen on X. Maybe Ryan, you got better insight. But yeah, I obviously Brian Hartline. He's made it clear. He made it clear last year he wanted to be a head coach. He actually interviewed. Rumor has it for the West Virginia job. I believe that was pretty much confirmed. So he's obviously wanted to be a head coach. Who wouldn't? Who could blame him? I would assume he'd want the right fit. So the Kentucky thing kind of surprises me, but maybe there's something I don't know. Within the day and age of NIL too, you don't know what's going on. You know what these guys are being promised, right? Because a lot of these head coaches are taking gigs and they're meeting with these ADs who are like, hey, by the way, this is coming. This is why you want to take this job. So maybe Kentucky's like that. I don't know. But my understanding is that Will Stein is going to get first dibs at that, who's the Oregon offensive coordinator, which I think that they could probably have him, and Oregon might not care. He replaced Joe Moorhead, who was already had a pretty smooth operation going on there.
Yeah, I think it is going to be Stein, and Stein was also rumored not for West Virginia. I forget what other job last offseason. So Hartline with West Virginia made a little bit more sense regional, although I think that was more he knew he wasn't like it was pretty clear once you get just having as many people still in the state of West Virginia, like that Rich Rod was going to get it with how tied in he is there. And being from there and having all the donors ready to pony up some extra cash, which you need in this era. But I think Stein was involved in another gig. So I think he's from Louisville.
Yep.
Yes. So the fit makes sense going back to the state of Kentucky. And he was going to get one of these eventually. That Saban, Kirby, Dan Lanning tree. I mean, they just keep pumping out these coaches, and you can add Lane and Sark in there as well to that coaching tree that just keeps on producing head coaches. They at least get shots. It's no guarantee that they're going to win, but they're definitely going to get opportunities if you're involved in that Saban tree on down.
Yep.
No, without question. We've got a couple other chiming in. Buckeyes dominated even with Michigan cutting Ohio State's communications. Yeah, I before they brought that up on the broadcast, I was noticing, man, why the hell is Julian Saint going to the sideline for every play? Every time I see him go out, I'm like, oh, maybe they're bringing in Lincoln Keyholtz. Maybe they're doing like a running quarterback package. Nope, he's just running plays. It was kind of wild about that. Will chimes in as well. If True has some nerves doing that after doing sign stealing, it's in the past. We've got our win. We're on our way to Indianapolis on Saturday, and that game will be on Fox, 8 p.m. The Big Ten Championship in Indianapolis. How do you feel about what do you think is the breakdown? Buckeye fans, Hoosier fans, what are we thinking about for this?
Well, let me say something about the tampering. I can't verify any of that. I did see where multiple Michigan people that were close to the program did admit, like, yeah, that it was fucking a last ditch effort. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Even the head, but I saw a bunch of fans get upset about that. Yes, he probably should have been kicked out. Yes, Moore is that he's the most impactful pass rusher, but it kind of looked like he was trying to explain to the ref what was going on, and then that he accidentally hit him, so I could kind of see why he wasn't kicked out. Whatever, I'm not going to bitch about it, but I think that every Ohio State fan out there needs to stop focusing on that stuff and really need to take joy in the fact they really need to fucking soak in the fact that at some point when Michigan was getting their ass kicked, they had a discussion on the sidelines about protecting the M. Okay. That had to have happened during the game while the clock wasn't at 0 and they were getting their ass kicked. That they were like, all right, who's going to block DM? in Ohio State, Ryan Day shut that shit down. There was, I think it was David, no, it was Jermaine Matthews, did have a flag. He was attempting to do it. A coach cut him off immediately. But other than that, no one gave a fuck. So these dudes just look pathetic out there saying on that fucking logo, dude, which I thought was way funnier than trying to plan anything. I thought that shit was so funny, dude. Just like, no. Like, it's like, bro, go home, man. Go home. And I said that last year when Michigan planted the flag on Ohio State. I was on this podcast. I was like, dude, it's over. They deserved it. Get the fuck in the locker room, bro. It's over. So this shit, I find great joy in that.
No, I think at the same time, I didn't catch on it initially, and my wife, they're jumping up in the stands with the fans, and they're doing their celebrating, and my wife brought it up, and she was like, "Why are they sitting there watching them?" Is this like when you lose the Super Bowl and there's the one player on the field? It's like, let me just take it all in for next season. Like, no, I think they're protecting them,
dude. So dumb, but yeah, man. I mean, the crowd size, there's going to be more Ohio State fans, right? There has to be, just because the fan base. It is in Indiana.
It is in Indiana, though. I think it's going to be pretty split. And the Hoosier fans have been showing out, man.
I think you're probably right. I think it's probably is going to be 50-50 too, because Ohio, we've got to remember too, Ohio State fans already have this sense of entitlement to them, which they should. It's not a bad thing, but you can't pay for fucking every game, dude.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Indiana fans are going to be more willing to shell out the cash because they're so excited. They think this is the fucking year. Ohio State fans, they're not going to want to shell out cash to go to fucking Indianapolis again. But maybe they haven't won. They haven't been to the Big Ten championship since
2019.
2019, is that right?
Yeah.
I was getting ready to ask you guys, as Ohio State fans, of course you want to win the Big Ten championship. You don't want to lose to Indiana. It's still a pride game. But, like, if you're going to have to, you think this team is good enough to go on a run and win the Natty again. So you're having to fork over the quarterfinal money, semifinal money, Natty money. And if you made the Michigan trip last weekend, that was a lot of money.
Yep.
On top of last year, if you were making those trips for the run 4 games and that magical run, this would probably be the least motivated game out of all those that I would want to go to, because it's not an elimination game and it's not the Michigan game. So
yeah,
I'm with you. I think the Hoosier fans will go the extra mile to get here, because it's in their state. It's an hour and a half or 2 hours from Bloomington to Indianapolis, if that. And I mean, they haven't been in this situation. This is and they're getting a crack at the Buckeyes. Like, this is Cignetti's got this place humming, man, with excitement. So I would anticipate 50-50 just because Ohio State's fan base is so crazy. But I think Indiana fans are going to show out in their home state and just never being in this position before.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the Ohio State fan base is big enough to where you're going to have, the lower class, the middle class, the me's of the world that are going to be like, well, this is all we can afford. Hell yeah, you know what I mean? Because tickets are probably going to fucking collapse, dude. I can see me fucking getting stoned on a Friday buying a ticket. You know what I mean? Which, by the way, should be shouted out. Since I no longer work for USA Today, Ohio State went winless against Michigan during my tenure there. Winless.
That was the curse.
Thank you.
Yeah, 20, I started in 2020 when the game got fucking canceled. But yeah, so there you're welcome, Buckeye Nation. But yeah, I would expect that's my big. I was talking to a buddy the other day, and I told him, I said, I'm more scared of Michigan than I am of Indiana. But after watching the reaction, I guess I just didn't anticipate it, right? We spend so much time gambling and kind of dissecting things. We forget the emotional part of it, which is stupid. But, Ohio State did dump the Gatorade a little bit, right? Ryan Day got a little teary-eyed in this press conference. So you do have that little like, ooh, am I wrong about this? Because the fans are going to do the same shit, right? We're doing the same shit, right? I'm already kind of got it in my head where this game doesn't mean shit. So it's like, it's going to be, it is more, it's more, I feel more questionable about the Indiana game today than I did on Friday.
And you may see them again in 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
It's number 1 and number 2. And I think it's pretty accurate. These have been the 2 best teams, whatever order you want to rank them. they have been the two best teams and most dominant teams. I mean, like obviously Ohio State's defense has been unreal under Patricia, and then Indiana just drills teams. And their road wins are like they have the best road wins in college football, going to Eugene, going to Iowa City, winning in those environments. So like they're not a fluke or a fool's gold like everybody thought last year. When they doubled down here and did it again, they're the real deal. So this is going to be a heavyweight matchup, and the line reflects that too. Seeing it at 4.5, so I think we get a hell of a football game on Saturday night in that dumb dome. I wish it was outside. It should be at Soldier Field or something.
Oh, dude, I wish it was outside too. After watching Menendez against Purdue, he struggled in the cold way worse than Julian, brother, to the point where they just fucking abandoned that passing game, which they didn't need. It was Purdue. I mean, right? Am I wrong, Chris?
You are right. I couldn't, but well, I mean, at the same time, you got to think about it. He had two of his top 3 receivers were out as well, and believe me, he was throwing picks left and right too.
But that so let's get into it. Let's get into he's good. He's good. But my issue with him, first of all, I'm always going to be a homer towards Rourke. Okay, interviewed his older brother, loved him at OU.
Bobcats, baby.
Oh, dude, I love that family. I love Nathan. So you can't tell. I still think Curtis is better, but
he's going to New York in 2 weeks. Yeah,
he may win it.
He was just, but he was very mobile. And I know Fernando had a big run last week, but it was against Purdue, who was giving up. But whatever. I do think Indiana's super talented. Let's dive into it. So he looked like shit last week in the cold. He has had games where there are games out there where he throws the same amount of touchdowns as he does interceptions. Right, those games are out there. He does have a few dud games. Honestly, the Penn State game was kind of a dud game until he threw that pass. If we're being honest, right? I think that the real strength of this Indiana offense, and maybe it's not a strength compared to last year, is the offensive line. I think the offensive line last year. I was at the Ohio State Indiana game. Chris, I texted you. I said, dude, these dudes, a lot of them look like me. A lot of these guys do not look like. I feel like in a bar fight, I might have a chance against them. That's not the case this year, right? Carter Smith has always been good. He's been there. He's always been good. But they got Pat Coogan from Notre Dame, who's been lights out. Zen Mikulski has also been solid for them. He transferred from Ohio State to IU. Was supposed to win the starting right tackle job. Did not win the right tackle job. The main starter did get hurt 4 weeks ago, roughly. And he's been filling in ever since, and he's been very, 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 very good. Now, with that said, I've always been a Mikulski guy, but he was not good at Ohio State. So that also it's like that's cool that he's doing better, but also is he better, or is Ohio State going to be better than I think they are? And then the running backs, I think the running backs are great. Last year, the running backs were not fast, they were not strong. Roman Hemby's a fucking dog. That dude is a fucking dog. He was a dog at Maryland. He's a dog at IU. So I think that's the strength. We've talked about Elijah Surratt a lot last year. I loved him. I said I thought that he was a dark horse Biletnikoff favorite going into this year. Injuries have kind of slowed that. So my understanding is that those guys are still bumped and bruised, so that may not be a strength like I thought it was. But this might be the best offensive line Ohio State's faced. I mean, if those guys are healthy, again, 2 of those guys have been hurt. But I mean, it's a very, very underrated offensive line. It's a very, very underrated offensive line. And on the defensive side of the ball, their big issue last year on defense was Kamara was like the only piece that was elite. Well, Kamara's been good. Aiden Fisher's been good. D'Angelo Pond's been good. Amari Farrell's been good. Wyatt's been good. I mean, they got a couple pieces. I still think that the defense is weaker, and I'm not really worried about the Ohio State offense. But it should be noted that, I know people are looking at these stats and going, well, Indiana's not getting to the quarterback. I don't know if that's true, man. I feel like I've watched games where they're pressuring the guys and quarterbacks are running around or they're making mistakes or throwing it in the dirt, which can be just as valuable as a sack. Sacks aren't everything. So it is something to monitor. I like Ohio State's chances, but it will be interesting to see if the offensive line can play as well 2 weeks in a row. And it will be interesting to see if this defensive line can take on, I think, a very underrated offensive line in Indiana.
Ryan, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say the offensive line is definitely where Indiana and the defensive line took the biggest step from last year. Last year, they were just really well coached, brought over all those JMU guys, had a good culture, just didn't make mistakes, and that's why they were able to go 11-1. Yeah, the schedule was weak, but they beat the what out of everybody that was in front of them outside of Ohio State and Notre Dame, who just had better Jimmys and Joes. So they went in the portal, they bulked up that offensive line. They got 3 good receivers on the outside. I mean, Cooper, Surratt, and Williams and Becker. I mean, they're all productive. It's a well-balanced offense. And then Hemby, like you said, out of the backfield, he's averaging 5.5 yards a carry. Black's also really good, averaging 6 yards a carry. So they got a nice 1-2 punch. And Mendoza's just been a good floor general or field general. I'm thinking of basketball. Too many basketball shows. 32 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So he has been a little bit rattled in some of these road environments. He's like you take out the cupcake games, the Oregon, Iowa, and Penn State games. Those are the games where the pressure got to him a little bit. He made a mistake in each and every one of those games. But I think that they were able to stay balanced and ultimately grind all those games out. So and they were able to force turnovers. I mean, they got after Dante Moore in that Oregon game, to your point. Like, maybe statistically it doesn't show that they have a great, like an elite pass rush like Ohio State. But I feel like when they need to get to the quarterback on third down, they scheme something up and they make a big play. So the Buckeyes are going to have their hands full on trying to guard this balanced offense and then trying to protect Julian Sayin against this underrated pass rush for the Hoosiers, I think.
No, absolutely. Just to give you guys a note, as of right now, currently the cheapest ticket to get into Lucas Oil Stadium on Saturday is $384, ranging up to $2,900 to get into.
But didn't that
game.
drop? Didn't that fucking sink like a pebble last year?
It did. It absolutely did.
Yeah,
it did.
So some teenagers are going to get it for $20.
No, absolutely.
I feel really good about that, man.
No, and to Ryan's point as well, he brought up Omar Cooper Jr. as well. With those injuries on the offensive line, he's went ahead and outpaced Elijah Surratt in both all receiving yards, and they're both tied with touchdowns. Even Cooper has scored in his last 4 straight games. At defense, they have taken a huge step forward from last year as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, this team runs through their offensive line. Then I think the big dark horse in it, the only perfect kicker in the Big Ten this year is what is his name's like Zacic? What's his name? Radicic. Yeah, Niko Radicic, 70 for 70 on extra points, 13 to 13 in field goals. He's got a long of 46. He scored 109 points himself this year.
But isn't that stat kind of because doesn't Minnesota got that guy the Dragon who's they're fucking attempting 70-yarders with that motherfucker?
Oh, like the fact that you're calling him the Dragon.
Isn't that his name?
You know his nickname.
His fucking name, dude. Well, I can't remember what it was. I thought I had it written down somewhere. One of our older podcasts. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Don't they have some fucking badass kicker?
Indiana's kicker?
No, I thought Minnesota had a kicker that was like fucking. His last name was like Dragon or some shit. And he was like Sebastian Janikowski. So they sent him out there all the fucking time.
I don't know.
We'll have to double check that for the show.
I thought that was
Was that last year? Am I confusing it?
Yeah. Or maybe it was 2 years ago.
You might be right.
I know who you're talking about. The fat guy.
Well, I mean, kick my ass. Or like, you didn't be like fat on the sense of maybe the field, but now you kick my ass.
Fat for kicker standards.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
There have been some fat kickers this year. I forget who it was. It was Central Michigan the one night versus San Jose, and they both had fat kickers. It was hilarious. There's something about fat kicker getting out there.
Well, who's that? The punter for Penn State. It looked like a goddamn linebacker.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that like 6'6". Remember a couple years ago, Penn State had a 5'8", 250-pound kicker.
I don't, but I believe.
Yeah, because he had like an Instagram photo where he was like, "I'm coming back." Right? He was just like with his shirt off and shit. It was forever ago, dude. Like Julian, I think his name was. We'll have to look that up.
I think this game this weekend, though, I think it's a big it's a big look at what this program shifts to. You know, we talk about Ryan Day being the head coach, but he's also ultimately he's the CEO of this program. We know that we're looking ahead, haven't been to a Big Ten championship since 2019.
Yeah.
You're getting this opportunity. You're going to get this 1 versus 2 that everyone's been clamoring for all year long. You got Coach Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers who have been pedal to the metal every single game. They want to leave no doubt in any committee members' minds that they are one of the best teams in the country. They're going to go out there and they're going to try to score 50 to 70 points every game. And that's just how they are. And we saw it there for a little bit. We're talking about these injuries and, you know, things that are plaguing this team. I say plaguing this team, but they're still an undefeated team. But they're nicked, they're bumped, they're bruised. I fully anticipate everyone playing in this game. And I'd like to see, again, Ohio State's mindset. You know, they're in the playoffs. Nothing is going to change them being in the playoffs come Saturday. But it's, do you get 3 weeks off or do you get 2 weeks off before the playoffs start? And I think that's where I'm interested to see the mindset of this team.
So I think you bring up a good point. So we've talked all year long, and you know, to loop it back into your guys' podcast when I listen to you guys rank Ohio State after Indiana. One of my issues with that was that I just felt like the game script that Ohio State had. No one has benefited more from the expanded playoffs, in my opinion, than Ryan Day, because the way his NFL experience and the way he rotates guys. I mean, Chris and I have bitched multiple times this year. The Purdue game, it was kind of closer than we thought it should have been because they were rotating motherfuckers in like the second quarter, and I was like, "What are they? That guy's never played a snap. What the fuck is he out there doing?" You know what I mean? Like they've been doing that a lot, right? I mean, you know, there are games where 5 running backs are getting carries, and Ohio State won by they won by 3 touchdowns, but it wasn't like a blowout. You know what I mean? You know, they played Lincoln Keenholz a bit. I mean, they had a true freshman playing a lot of majority of snaps at defensive end. We didn't see that in Michigan, right? It was very, very clear that they were going to play the best guys every fucking snap at Michigan, right? You know, we saw our David Adolph fucking play wide receiver the last 2 weeks. Right, he's gotten a shit ton of snaps. That's a goddamn walk-on. I think we might go back to that against IU. Now I think that they win. The spread's 4.5. I don't know if I'm going to bet on the game, but I'm certainly not betting on Indiana. There's not a thing you could say to make me bet on Indiana. But with that said, I think that Ohio State does go back to Bo Jackson is not going to get 25 carries. He's just not.
No.
If that makes sense. If Jeremiah Smith has a play where he's limping or looks upset, they're going to yank him, right? We saw Brandon Ennis get hit pretty fucking hard against Michigan. Motherfucker stayed out there. That ain't happened against IU. I think that's my guess. But
I can give that.
Indiana doesn't do that. That's my whole thing against Indiana. Is they go they find what works and they fucking do not stop until the fucking game is over. And they don't care if you're limping when you fucking do it, right? I mean, there's a couple games where the backups go in there, but you'd be astounded if you go through the box score, they'll be fucking beating a team 70-0. You'll be like, why is the backup have 2 attempts?
Yeah.
That's you know what I mean? Like they're kind of like it's just so I do think that IU's probably more beat up than Ohio State, and I don't think that they have any intentions. They don't do that. They don't cater to the reps at all. Ohio State, I think they are going to revert back to that. So that's another point in IU's favor, I think, as far as they could potentially win.
And I would piggyback off what you said with Day's NFL experience, where it's not that you're coasting, you just know how long the season is. And I would say Michigan did that the dream season for them. I thought Harbaugh didn't really. They got up for the Penn State road game and then the Ohio State game. But, they didn't cover a bunch of games just because they wanted to get through and get healthy to the end, and because they thought they had and they did have the best team that year. And then Ohio State had the best team last year, and they took a couple losses in the regular season, but they were the healthiest at the end. What's funny, too, is Ryan Day, like you mentioned, the playoff expansion. The old format, they don't even make the playoff last year.
No, they don't.
That would have been it. And I can only think of, and I know this guy could not win a big game to save his life, but the guy that just got fired at Penn State, James Franklin, he would have 5 or 6 additional college football playoff appearances if he had the Ryan Day fortune of last year. And I'm not saying Penn State would have won any of the national championships that year, but Yeah, they may have gone to a national championship or gone to a Final Four a time or two more, just like last year, and the narrative may have been completely different. But it's just crazy. Like for Day, it was the perfect year to have that expanded playoff because they were the best team, but they just took it, lost 2 tough games. But James Franklin's probably like, man, why couldn't I get that fortune for the last 10 years? So it's just funny. It's funny.
Oh, especially with the Saquon Barkley year. Oh,
Yeah.
fuck yeah, dude, for sure. Yeah, dude, it's funny. If you go back and trust me, no one bitched and wanted Ryan Day fired more than me. And I was like, I don't fucking care. They're going to lose the playoffs anyway. I always said they were going to beat Tennessee, though, because I thought Tennessee was overrated the entire fucking year. I don't hate Nico as much as you do, but I certainly fuck that guy. But James Franklin, yeah, Ryan Day lucked out so hard, and that's football, baby. That's football. It's all about situation. So luck, it's 50% luck, 50% taking advantage of it or whatever. But even with the transfer portal, right? He's on the hot seat. Nick Saban retires. It just so happens that he retires when the guy that was right there, Caleb Downs was fucking this close to sign with Ohio State. Nick Saban retires. Now that guy's back in the fucking portal. Julian Sands back in the portal. I mean, no one really lucked out more than Ryan Day when all this shit with the last couple of years, and it just kind of rolled the dice there. But, again, he's a nice enough guy, too. Like Urban Meyer, that would never happen for Urban Meyer, right? Ryan Day is a nice enough man to take advantage of these things, and people remember him, yada, yada, yada. But it's interesting how shit like that works out. Because James Franklin, same thing. James Franklin's a really nice fucking dude. He probably, different life, man, could have been a different dude. You know what I mean?
He's going to be good at Tech, too. I love that hire and fit. Like, I mean, if you're not, because you can't beat Ohio State and Michigan, a lot of teams can't. So
yeah,
they haven't even hired anybody yet. Right? So they're kind of scrambling. So I don't know what Penn State's going to do. But yeah, it's just funny looking back. As painful as that loss was last year in Columbus, it won them the national championship because it brought them together and they got all their egos out of the way and said, let's go win 4 games in 4 weeks. And they did so. And they haven't looked back since. And you can just tell watching Day on the sideline how much looser he is this year after winning the Natty. He was smirking at Michigan fans. Like in previous years, he was, I mean, like you said, tighter than a knot on that damn sideline. So, he coached different on Saturday than any other Michigan game.
Well, and you said like last year, Ohio State deserved to win the national championship, obviously, right? But I don't think that they were the best team all year long, and I think a big reason for that was Jim Knowles. Yeah. Right? We've had players on this podcast tell us that after that Oregon game, Jim Knowles' duties as a defensive coordinator were slowly decreasing week by fucking week, and by the time the playoffs came, that dude, it was very much more Larry Johnson's defense than Jim Knowles' defense. And then who did Penn State fucking hire? Who was the fucking last nail in the coffin of James Franklin? Jim fucking Knowles. So it's like full circle, baby. It's funny too, because that motherfucker loves to run that stupid ass fucking whack ass Oklahoma State defense with the fucking dude that's fucking standing up, the pass rusher, and he tried to do that shit to Jack Sawyer, who's not right. You can do that at Oklahoma State because you're dealing with a lot of tweeners and shit. He didn't do it at Penn State. Okay, he was dabbling with it. You saw it every now and again. As soon as that motherfucker got fired, the next week, every goddamn play, he had the fucking dumbass, the goddamn tweener motherfucker out there. That guy just does. Yeah. He just refuses to make adjustments, man. But that's a story for another day.
Well, for this game Saturday, Ryan, go ahead and give us your prediction. Give us the score, if you would.
Ooh, let's go. Well, what's the total at? I was curious on that just because you got 2 top 5 offenses, 2 top 5 defenses. So, like, if it was played outside, I would definitely say it was going to be a lower scoring game, more feel it out type of game.
Yeah.
Probably will still say the under. Just because it's the first time that they play. I'll go.
So it's 48.5.
I'll go 24-21 Ohio State wins.
Ooh, so are you going to bet on Indiana or is it just a lean?
I'm going to bet Indiana because I think Indiana can win the game. But I think it's a field goal game either way. I don't see a blowout. And like I said, I think this is Indiana's get up Super Bowl spot. So I think you're going to get more from them. And yeah, I think this is going to be a fun Big Ten championship game, and we'll probably see round 2 in a couple weeks.
I have to ask. I think I know the answer because I listen to your guys' show every day.
Yep.
How many times have you taken Ohio State this year?
Well, they're so overvalued. They're laying like 40 every week. So
you see that, but they beat the spread every week. But
I know,
they
and I
beat
will
the spread against Ohio, which they pushed. But I think when you guys did your show, the spread was higher, so you probably won that bet because I know you took Ohio.
I covered with Purdue. I know that
you covered with Purdue. I think those are the only games that they outright lost against the spread. Chris, is that right, or is there another game?
It is.
I took him. I know I was heavy on him against Texas.
I know. Yeah, we all. Yeah,
everybody loved Texas, and there was one other one where I think
you took UCLA. You took him against UCLA and Rutgers.
Oh yeah,
you won those last 2 weeks. You took the
I hopped on. Well, I just like they were bad against the spread last year, so I'm like, Day's going to take his foot off the pedal. But this, to your point, I think it was more Noel's defense letting more backdoor covers in compared to Patricia's defense, which has been dynamite. They just choke you out. So I was on Michigan. I will be on Indiana in the points. I think Ohio State will find a way to win, though. I think, like I said, I think this is going to be a fun game. It wouldn't shock me if Indiana won because Ohio State can afford to lose this, and it is a little bit of a letdown spot. I mean, we remember when Michigan ended the streak, they had nothing left the next game. They got drilled by like Georgia or something. Like down there in Miami, they got boat race and ran off the field.
Oh no, it was against TCU, right? Wasn't it fucking? Yes. Yeah, I was gonna say, man, it was something way more fucking embarrassing. It was like Max Duggan and TCU.
Yeah. It was, I think Michigan like failed to cover every game after that, except the year they won it.
Yeah,
I can see that. I'm gonna go with. I don't think the Buckeyes cover here. It's a game where, again, I want to see what this Buckeye team looks like in this game. I want to see the mentality. I want to see the pace of play as well. We've watched Buckeye teams all season long. Just go out there and be efficient and do enough. They're not no huddling. They're not very little. Have we watched any 2-minute drive scenarios in the sense, what's his face? Jaden Fields came out last week and said some wild shit. He said, man, I would love to be able to kick the game winning field goal and redeem myself against Michigan. And of course, everybody in Buckeye Nation was like, the fuck you not? Like, we don't want it to come down to this.
Oh, wow.
But Coach Day all season long is trying to put him out there in situations that make it feel like it's big. Give me Jaden Fielding with a game-winning field goal. Buckeyes win by 3.
That's very nice of you. You've been talking shit about him for like 2 years.
I have.
I'm glad we have not been seeing eye to eye lately, Chris. You're kind of saying about the playoffs before the show started. That's okay. I end up being wrong. And then you love Fernando, but at least we're seeing eye to eye in Fleming, bro.
Oh, good. Good. It's full circle. We've got Will chimes in. Bucks by 20. Woo! 37-17.
I'd be surprised if they ran Indiana off the field.
I would be surprised as well. So, obviously we're talking about Ohio State. We're talking about Indiana, 2 teams that no matter what, they're going to be in the playoffs. We've got our final playoff rankings revealed before. Go ahead.
Well, I do want to. So, Will, I don't think you're insane because here's why I will not take Indiana. Couldn't fucking pay me to, because I think if Indiana can win, I'm not saying Ohio State is some unbreakable fucking thing. Indiana could win. I don't think you guys are wrong, but the issue that I have with Indiana is that if they don't win outright, I think they get blown out because Cignetti is that type of dude. It's like playing your nephew in Madden when you don't know the rules, but you get fucking lucky and they're like, why are you fucking beating me? I'm going to run another Hail Mary because this motherfucker doesn't know what the right stick does. You know what I mean? And he just keeps throwing fucking picks. And the next thing you know, it's 50-0. Cignetti's that kind of dude. You know what I mean? Like, you know how Iowa never gets blown out because they're like, no, we're just going to keep running the ball. We'll see what happens. Eventually something will happen. Cignetti's not like that. He's like, oh my God, I gotta fucking throw it further. You know what I mean? So I just feel like that's what's going to happen. That's why it's potentially – I don't think you're an idiot, Will. That's my point. So,
well, like we said, they're both making their way to the playoffs. Come tomorrow night, we're gonna get our final playoff rankings before the final playoff ranking on Sunday. The AP poll came out yesterday. this is what we're looking like. We're looking at the
Yeah.
Buckeyes won. We saw A&M drop a big time game against Texas. They dropped from 3 to 7. You see Oklahoma, who looked absolutely terrible for 3.5 quarters. They're still sitting there at 8. Notre Dame jumps Alabama at 10. BYU still clinging on to life at 11. And Miami creeps up ever so slightly. They're at number 12. Ryan, what do you think about this?
They love them some Notre Dame, don't they?
They love us in Notre Dame.
I'm trying to figure out who they beat, and I keep looking at the resume, and I guess USC, but I don't know what my Vanderbilt Commodores got to do to get in the playoff. I mean, I keep hearing, I've heard for years and years the SEC is the best league. They went 10-2 in that league, and they're not even in consideration.
Valid.
You know, it's funny because Chris and I do an exercise every week on this show, which I think you'll appreciate. But Chris, who's the top ranked number 1 team in the nation?
The Ohio State Buckeyes.
No. The number one,
okay.
the highest ranked 1-loss team. What conference are they in?
They are in the SEC.
The highest ranked 2-loss team. What conference are they in?
They are in the SEC as well.
The highest lost 3-loss team. What conference are they in?
They are as well are in the SEC.
The highest lost 4-loss team and the only 4-loss team ranked. What conference are they in?
The SEC as well, my friend.
Now we've done that every fucking week. Every fucking week. And the only time it's not been an SEC team was 5 weeks ago when it was Oregon as the top-ranked 1-loss team. No, it's before they lost to Indiana. So that's how long. That's a long fucking time ago. Isn't that crazy?
But Vanderbilt can't get in.
I don't. The bias
it,
works with it, man.
If you switch that Vanderbilt logo with that Texas logo and put that Vanderbilt resume on Texas's name, I bet you they'd be in the playoff.
For sure. Yeah. It's surprising to me that you can be that biased towards Missouri, but Vanderbilt, it's weird because it's like they pick it, like I don't know. It's odd how they decide who's going to get credit for what shit. You know, because Missouri still does not have a win over a team with a win, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't beat anybody, and they never hit the road.
Yes.
Yeah.
They stayed in Missouri.
Home game. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Georgia's only played 3 away games, too.
Yeah, and they're back in the Georgia Dome this week.
Yes.
So it's like I think that maybe they're there to prop up the other teams that they really want. Like, I don't know. It's so weird how it works. You know, people could talk shit about the Big Ten, and that's I'm an Ohio State fan. I know that if Ohio State's 10-2, they're not in Vanderbilt's situation. They're in the fucking playoffs, and I'm aware of that. They're the big brand, but the bias towards the SEC is still unfucking matched, and I don't know if it's because they're ESPN tie-in or what the deal is at, and I don't know why Vanderbilt's not benefiting from that. That blows my mind, but it's fucking crazy to me. It's crazy to me that every week we do this.
And the Notre Dame bias is ridiculous. I mean, I get that they're a blown out team, but they're not playing anybody.
Well, they get credit for losses.
Yeah.
But that's the weird thing. So and your guys' show isn't dealing with the I do want to we've agreed on pretty much everything, but I do want to argue with you about one thing that you guys talked about almost every week.
What do you want? Ohio State won?
Ohio State's shitty schedule, right? Which I'm not denying.
It got better. It got better when Texas started playing better.
Either way, like I'm not denying it. Ohio State's. I will on this podcast. I will say it again. I've said it before. This schedule is soft. This schedule is. There are things that we thought were going to be good that weren't. Illinois, not good. They're not bad. I got to be careful.
Okay.
They're not bad, but they're not as good as we thought. Washington, we thought that they'd be better than they really are. Right? I'm not numb to that, but the fact that people are saying A&M schedule is better when they've played more teams with fired coaches than teams that have winning records blows my fucking mind. And you guys aren't the only ones that do that. It was these were definitive comments made to me. And like, you know, that's the beautiful thing too about what you guys do. You guys are like Jedis. You never speak in absolutes. And I love that. Right. Football is just like a Pandora's box of what if, right? Like, we don't, because that's your whole thing. That's a lot of the thing too, right? With the G5 is like, why not James Madison? We don't really know. Maybe James Madison could make noise. No one thought Florida State would be at Alabama, and they did, right? Yep. You know, no one thought. So I do like that, and that's my attitude towards Ohio State's schedule, where it's like I don't understand why so many people are shitting on that schedule Meanwhile, they played Texas, and IU's off their out of conference was Old Dominion and Kennesaw State and Illinois State or Indiana State. It's like, what the fuck? And you guys aren't the only ones that did that. I was never understanding that aspect of it. And that is one thing I do agree with Sarkisian on, where it's like, why even fucking play that game? Ohio State plays Texas and no one fucking cared until they beat Texas A&M. No one fucking cared that Ohio State beat Texas until they beat Texas A&M. Why even play that fucking game? Just play Grambling twice.
Well, because Texas before this last month was not good. Like we flipped our narrative on Texas because they finally started playing better. Like they were barely getting by Kentucky. They were barely getting by Mississippi State. There was a point of the year where I was like, man, Texas might finish 6-6 with the way that they're just not playing good football. So now they started playing better. And Colby always talks about this with his database is it changes because of the results that happen. And at one time, LSU was a hard game on the schedule. Penn State was a hard game on the schedule. You see that? But with the way that the season shook out, you can't get locked into one opinion. So now I look at Ohio State's schedule, and I don't think it's that soft anymore. Like I think it's on the softer side compared to some of the teams up top, but I don't think it's Cupcake City anymore because you went to Michigan, you won. At Illinois, I mean, it's still a 9-win team. I think they're a little bit fool's gold, but it's still a road win. At Washington's a hard win, and then Texas. But it was hard to defend the schedule when they were going through that 3-game gauntlet of Rutgers, UCLA, and Purdue. It's like, oh my God, this is brutal to watch.
Well, why? But why was that any different than what Indiana or Texas saying? I guess that, and it's not just you guys. Someone texted me today and said Miami, Florida would be 11-1 if they had Ohio State schedule. And I'm thinking, you lost to 2 4-loss teams, one at home, and you were favored by double digits in both games. Yeah. Why would someone say that? It's Ohio State. You guys aren't – I'm not picking on you guys. I never understood. Not only do I not understand that stance, but now I've always been of the opinion, because the last couple of years, Colby has always made a great point where he's like, Michigan on their way to the national championship, they didn't play anybody, right? Ohio State last year, they're out of conference fucking garbage, right? So I didn't say all last year. I didn't say it because I'm like, man, he's got to fucking play. They didn't play nobody. But then they played Texas, and they're still getting shit on like they played fucking Kennesaw State. Why would they play that fucking game? And then I look at a team like Michigan. If Michigan didn't play Oklahoma and they played Kennesaw State, they'd be dead too. They'd be in the fucking playoffs, dude.
I know, and they literally beat nobody. Michigan. I was looking at their wins, like they. Well, my whole argument was Indiana had the better resume all year.
But why?
I mean, because they went to Oregon and won.
But why was Oregon good though?
I mean,
they've only got their second best win is Northwestern, right? Who have they played? I'm trying to remember. They beat Iowa, but again, that was by the time they got to Iowa, it was their 4th loss, right?
Yeah, but I also give a lot of credit for winning at Kinnick. I've just seen so many teams lose there over the years. And Iowa, Iowa was what, 12 points away from being 12-0, 13 points away from being 12-0.
I completely agree with that. And again, I don't think you're wrong. I never thought anything you said was what you guys said was wrong. It was just everybody was being so definitive that it was like, I don't understand how everybody can be so absolute. Like, this is a fucking fact, especially considering IU played Iowa. And in my opinion, they would have lost if it wasn't for
They should have lost.
And then they have a mutual opponent in Penn State, and IU barely fucking slips out of there. Meanwhile, Ohio State's fucking destroyed them. So again, you guys aren't the only ones that did that. I'm just looking for clarity because it's weird. I don't know if it's just because it's Ohio State, but we've heard that numerous times. I mean, right, Chris? We all year long, this has been a constant about the schedule. And then meanwhile, I'm looking at fucking Georgia. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I think that the bigger issue is the inequality in college football scheduling as a whole. But for some reason, Ohio State's being the poster boy of that.
The Michigan game hadn't happened yet. I think that was the main thing. It was just like, well, we know they're going to play Michigan. But like when the resume was what the resume was, at 9 weeks in, 10 weeks in, it wasn't strong. But it was like they're going to play Michigan eventually, so that'll shake out. And then as they were going into Michigan the game, then Texas all of a sudden got their biggest win of the year by far. So now all of a sudden there's a lot of meat on the bone, and you could make the case now for Ohio State to be number 1 over Indiana, in my opinion. Like, hey, like I 3-4 weeks ago, I was like, no way, Indiana's got the better resume. Now I'm like, I mean, they're kind of similar. I probably would say Indiana's resume is a little bit better, but not by much.
And again, I'm not saying you're wrong, right? Dude, even if you told me Georgia should be number one, okay, sure, maybe, I don't know. Who the fuck knows, right? That's the beauty of college.
That was only 3 road games.
Yeah, I mean, but maybe Georgia wins it all. Maybe you're right. I don't fucking know. But it's just there's been so many definitive people. There's just been so many statements like Ohio State schedule blows. It's like, man, in my opinion, I think that the issue with scheduling is more about college football in general, than just Ohio State. Because IU played nobody, Mizzou's played nobody, Georgia's played nobody. Oregon. I know that they're good. I know that Oregon's a good team, but their second best win is Northwestern. Right. I know that Iowa's a good team, but they've lost 4 fucking games to the only 4 teams with the fucking pulse. Right. Texas, we talked about Texas A&M already. So I just feel like it's just weird. Ohio State's been the poster boy of that. I told Chris before the show, I think it's a very easy fix. You go back to divisions. That way you have your mandatory opponents, and then you know you're going to have your conference championship. And if it just so happens the entire division blows, that's life. But right now, we have this illusion, or maybe it's a fact, I don't know, where the Big Ten's protecting big brands. Maybe Ohio State was handed this easy-ass Big Ten schedule because they are Ohio State. I'm not defending that. That could entirely be the case. I don't fucking know. But I think that if you went back to divisions, that wouldn't even be an argument. It would be like, okay, we know that these are the teams you're going to play.
Or get rid of an 18-league conference. Like, go back to 12 or 14, how it was, where you could almost have a true champion, where everybody almost gets to play everybody.
Yeah, you could do. I mean, but if you had 18 teams, 2 divisions, that gives you what you're playing all 8 teams in. You can do that. I mean, right? Because if you have 9 conference games and like 1 rotating or whatever, but yeah, I mean, whatever, you could do that. The 14 teams. I mean, obviously everything was much smoother back before all these mega conferences occurred, for sure. No argument here. You wouldn't have 8 fucking teams tied for first place, right?
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
Absolutely. With college football rankings coming out tomorrow, obviously that's going to be Tuesday. Friday starts the actual conference championships that matter. Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, you're going to get Troy and James Madison. James Madison sitting at 19, looking to try to be one of those conference championships that are ranked higher, try to get themselves an automatic bid. You've also got North Texas and Tulane at 8 p.m. on ABC for the American. Saturday, big ones in the top 10. You've got BYU, Texas Tech. That's noon. That's going to be in Arlington at ABC. You also got Georgia, Alabama at 4 o'clock. That's going to be played in Atlanta. Obviously, Virginia, Duke for the ACC Championship in Charlotte. That's 8 p.m. At the same time, Ohio State takes on Indiana on Fox. Question for the both of you. Georgia beats Alabama. Is Alabama in?
Yeah, they're not going to penalize a conference championship loser, except for BYU, probably. They kept Alabama out last year because they said they weren't going to penalize SMU for not playing, for SMU losing while Alabama sat on the couch. I don't think you can do that the very next year to Alabama.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's fair to do that either. They talked about the Big Ten has talked about this expanded playoffs, which is I like that idea. But the cool part about it is instead of conference championship games, you got like play-in games, which I thought would be more valuable, right? Because a lot of these games don't mean anything, and it feels weird to penalize them if you're going to lose you made it there and you're going to penalize them. It's just it's an odd thing. It's also a bummer that like half the teams you named have no head coach. Bob Chesney moved on to UCLA from James Madison. Right? Eric Morris moved on from North Texas to Oklahoma State. The rumor is Kalani Sitake is going to be going to Penn State, so BYU might not have their fucking head coach either.
Right.
So who? I mean, there was John Summerall moved on from Tulane to Florida, so that's also a shame. But
we saw it a couple years ago. We saw Florida State lose a quarterback playing the conference championship, and the committee had that data point to where they decided to leave Florida State out of a 4-team playoff. Knowing that Ole Miss does not play this week, knowing they don't have a coach, knowing that the committee's not going to get that data point, do you still see Ole Miss dropping a little bit in the next 2 weeks?
I think that would be wrong. I mean, their resume is still their resume. It's like
Valid.
I know Lane's not going to be there, and yeah, they're going to take some hits not having that offensive staff, but you go 11-1. I think they got to be in. I would expect Vanderbilt and Miami to jump BYU this week.
I could see that.
Because what I just said previously, they're not going to penalize a conference championship loser. So what are they going to do? They're going to do it on the front end where they go, if BYU loses, they're already not in the field. So that's how they take care of the BYU narrative.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting because Notre Dame's done, Miami's done, Oklahoma's done, and A&M's done. I mean, Oregon's done. So those teams I think are all in, and I can't really see them booting one of them out. I'm interested to see where they rank the teams tomorrow, because you're not going to see a team jump another team from this week to next week if they don't play.
Agreed.
Well,
so
the committee does whatever they want. So
true.
Because I agree with everything you said about Ole Miss. I agree with every fucking thing you said about Ole Miss.
They better not leave them out. That'd be so crooked. But
the thing is I agree with everything you fucking said. But the head coach is more important than the fucking quarterback. And you fucked Florida State, dude. They fucked Florida State. You know, like, I mean, they did. They did. We can sit here and talk about maybe they got raped. I don't fucking know, right? But their resume was their resume, and they got fucked. They got fucked, and they lost a quarterback. Ole Miss lost their head goddamn coach.
Well, and
you said
I'm thinking of names and brands. Sticking it to Ole Miss versus sticking it to a Notre Dame, a BYU, or not BYU, a Notre Dame, a Miami, Alabama. They're going to side with those bigger brands. So, like, maybe we see Ole Miss drop to like 10. That would be something, man. That would be so ass backwards. But I mean, nothing surprises me with this.
Nothing surprises me. Nothing. Yeah. Your guys' commentary on the playoffs has been spot on all fucking year long. Those playoff rankings are bullshit. I agree with you too on the BYU thing. It's a fucking shame, but they're not going to be in it, and it does feel like they fuck. Yeah, it's bullshit. I think BYU should certainly be in it. They should have probably been in the last year, to be honest with you.
Yeah, over SMU. They beat SMU at SMU, and they had the same amount of losses, and they just left them out. It was like, what? I
thought you could have made the argument that they could have been it over Tennessee, to be honest with you. I mean, Tennessee's resume was mean, it is what it is. It's in the books, but it's every year you can. I agree with your guys' point too. They certainly need to expand the playoffs as well. I don't know if they need to go to 60 like Mike Leach wants, but
I like 24. I like 24. 24 is enough for me. That's equivalent to what we have in basketball.
That's fair.
Love it. Closing it out for the week. Obviously, we got college football playoff rankings come tomorrow. We got conference championships games starting on Friday, going into Saturday, and the final college football playoff rankings will be revealed Sunday night. As always, we will be back next Monday. I'm Chris. You can find me at CRunning15. Josh, yourself?
Yeah, man. Follow me on X at Josh Keatley16. And Ryan, thanks again for showing up, man. I know I've been harassing you guys every fucking week. I listen to every episode. I encourage all of our listeners to listen to every episode of the College Experience podcast. If you're into basketball, I've heard they do a great job in basketball as well. But the football stuff, man, everything is spot on. Even if you don't take their bets, the insight that you get, the humor that dude, when you guys fucking go on your goddamn rants, bro. There was one last. What were you guys talking about?
Who knows what we were talking about?
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude!
Was CJ on there?
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. CJ was. Yeah, dude. It's good. It's good shit. It's good shit. I love the slides that Colby puts in it. It's entertaining. You guys do a great job. By far the best college football podcast available. 100%.
Appreciate you guys having me, and definitely appreciate you guys listening to us over at TCE. And Yeah, I'll definitely come back in the offseason so we can shit on the mega conferences some more. So I'm always down to shit on the system and until yell at clouds until they change it the way we want it to be changed.
I'm down, bro. I'm down, dude. We need to talk more about the West Virginia football too. I used to live down there, so that'd be fun to talk shit about that too, man.
Year 2 Rich Rod's going to be a lot better than year 1. It was a rebuild year.
My old dude, I love Rich Rod. Rich Rod, I've said on this podcast before, got fucked at Michigan.
Yep.
Fucked at Michigan. My old high school coach played ball at West Virginia. He lost West Virginia high school football player of the year to Randy Moss. Went to play linebacker there. Daniel Pratt. So
very nice.
Deep roots there.
Good stuff. All right. So again, to the next Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, we will be back. We will see y'all next week.